Hi! So after a bunch of requests, I finally created a video on how I take pictures for my Instagram. And here are a couple of disclaimers. Just note that I'm not a professional and my knowledge comes from a lot of trial and error, so please keep that in mind as I'm giving out the tips throughout the video. And if you just want to read through the rest of the disclaimers, please feel free to pause it and read through it. So the first part is just about taking pictures without editing. So one of the most important things you need to consider to taking good pictures is the lighting. And that pretty much just means the more natural light exposure that your subject has, which in my case is just my desk, the clearer and brighter the image is going to be, which will make it edit friendly, and you'll avoid going through like a bunch of extra steps to make it look good overall. And the second thing you need to consider is the placement of your subject. So over here, I've got my desk, right? Since I run a studygram, obviously I need my desk to be looking amazing. I basically placed my desk right next to my window. It wasn't there before, but now that it's there and it's right next to this huge window, I've got a lot of light exposure, which means it's very easy and convenient for me to be taking pictures with good natural lighting. And another thing to consider is the timing, and this is just questioning at what time is the area that you want to take pictures of exposed to more light. And here's a little tip. So for me, I usually take pictures at 11 a.m. whereas if it was midday, then the sun would be at its highest and it will create like shadows over my desk, which I don't want because it's kind of harder to edit shadows. Now, another thing to consider is your theme. So if you have a set theme, obviously you're going to have a dominant color. In my case, because my feed is bright, clear and white, I made sure to have those white accessories, the white desk, the white stationery, the white desk mat to really emphasize that, because if you're trying to maintain a theme, you can't be having a bunch of pink things on there one day and then a bunch of blue things if you want to keep that white aesthetic, you know? So even though I went on and on about how lighting is amazing and how you need to make use of the sun to get the brightest and clearest pictures, it doesn't always apply to each type of theme that you want. Since I've been trying to maintain a white and clear and bright theme, it doesn't always work in my favor because obviously I'm trying to take pictures when the sun is like shining its brightest, and because of that the undertones of my pictures ends up being yellow tinted and I don't want that. And to get over that, I found this little trick, which is basically to just turn on your flash and take the pictures, and when you do that, because your flash is white, it kind of gets rid of that yellow tint. And here is a comparison between with flash and no flash. Okay, so I've gone through how to make use of natural lighting to make it work in your favor, but not everyone is going to be able to take the pictures at the right time, and not everyone is going to have a huge window with a lot of light exposure. So the best way to get through that is to manipulate good lighting, and I do that by using the app called Lightroom. So Lightroom has this option called Auto. If you tap on that, it will automatically adjust the settings for you, but I prefer not to use that since I have my own editing process. And I start that off by going to the light section and then decreasing the highlights to get rid of uneven lighting and that additional brightness in areas that I just don't need. And then I increase the shadows to make the areas around the picture look a bit brighter. So you can see the before and after, like before it was a bit darker and now it's much brighter. And then I adjust the contrast a little bit and increase the exposure to make it look brighter than it was before. And then I go back to the image and look at the before and after. If I'm happy with it, I usually move on, but sometimes I'd go back to the light section and then increase the whites and the blacks a bit more. And then I look at the before and after again and to see if I'm happy with it. And if I am, I'd go to the effects and increase the clarity to make it look a bit more defined, and look at the before and after. And then I go to the detail section and increase the sharpness. And sometimes if I'm not too happy with a yellow tint that it might have, I'd go to the temperature section and decrease the temperature a bit more to the bluer side. And I up the tint a bit more to the purple side. And that basically neutralizes the tone and makes it look whiter and brighter as well. Or you can download Whitegram and then tap on Editor, followed by Enhance, then tap onto Night, and it will automatically give your image a whiter and sort of brighter look. The only issue I have with this app is that it looks too heavily edited if you were to zoom in, but I try to go around that by going to contrast and decreasing that to make it look less subtle, I guess. I then follow this with decreasing the exposure a little bit, not too much because I don't want to lose the brightness of the image, but then at the same time I don't want it to look so obviously edited. Then I decrease the sharpness, again to give it more of that subtle look and not as defined. Then I remove the border and save the image. You can see a comparison between the left, which is the Lightroom version, and then the right, which is the Whitegram version. Now the one on the left seems a bit more cool toned, whereas the one on the right is a bit on the warmer side. But that's because Lightroom has the temperature adjustment feature, whereas Whitegram doesn't have that. So one way you can go around it is to export the Whitegram version onto the Lightroom and then adjust the temperature. But note that you can't use Whitegram on every single image because the editing is going to look too obvious and fake, and it's not the best look. And the last part of the video is just going to be about editing the colors. So I first go to Lightroom and then do my usual fix up of the lighting, so decrease the highlights, increase the shadows, basically everything I've mentioned in the middle of the video. And then after that, I'd go to the colors section and then increase the vibrance just to really bring out the colors that's already in the image right now. And you can see the white desk and everything that's white in the image ends up being a bit more yellow, but I'm going to fix that by going to colors again and then decreasing the temperature, so a bit more on the blue side, and increasing the tint, and that gets rid of that warm tone. I then go to color again, but this time I tap on color mix and then I adjust each individual color. So I change up the hues, I change the saturation, and then I increase or decrease the luminance depending on what it looks like in the image, and make the colors stand out more. It's a long process of going back and forth, so the color edit will change depending on the images. So you can see a comparison here between the one before, which is on the left, and the one after. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's all on the screen, or on Tumblr, that's also on the screen. And I've also got my shop, which is legallystudies.com, where I'm selling printables and physical prints. If you guys have any video suggestions, please feel free to let me know what they are in the comments below. Bye!